Everybody. The October 7th Finance Committee meeting. Well, it's order at 4:31. Yeah, you seem to be there first. Get us started, man. June. I noticed this June revenue and then August revenue.
Oh, yes. So this is the June report. It's the year-end results from fiscal year 2024. And I know historically what we've done is we've sent this report to committee, and then we had a committee meeting and to go through it line by line. I don't know if that's something you want to do this year or.
Do I have anybody from the committee on here?
Who's on the committee?
Melvin and Jose.
I think Melvin's on, Counselor.
Melvin, are you on?
See him.
I mean, that sounds like a decent idea to me. I just can't do that without somebody else being on with me.
Line by line? Sounds like a good idea.
So in the past, we've done that.
Yes, I mean, it's a lot to digest, and I'm sure you'll have specific questions that probably I'll have to work with finance to get some of the answers on.
Because it's the annual report.
Right. And,
Yeah.
you know, the next step now is the free cash certification. So.
Tim, sorry, Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm whatever, yes, to whatever you need. Sorry, I'm trying to have a problem getting it on.
If you agree, I think it's a pretty good idea to review the June one in a separate meeting. And then do today's one like normal. But so if you agree with that, if you could make a motion to put the June one in committee, well, I would second that, and we would have 2 votes for that.
Motion so made.
Thank you. I second and agree with it. So Melvin and I, our votes. So item number 1, the June revenue report goes to committee. And Pat, why don't you update us on the August report?
So the August report, it's pretty standard. You can see that in July, we didn't get our state payment until August, but we're back on the normal schedule again. What I will point out is our net school spending shortfall. You see that $2 million. That's a partial number. And we have worked with the school department and we've agreed upon a number, and that number is a little over $19 million that you'll see in the September report. That's going to be the net school spending carryover from fiscal year 24 into 25.
Then higher or lower than a year?
It was 21 last year. It's generally in the 18 to $20 million range. Last year was a little higher than usual.
Okay.
And that is all dictated by Chapter 70 that we have to give that money back to the school department. So you're going to see the budget increase by $19 million in September, but it's really 24 money. So.
Okay. So any questions on the August revenue versus expenditure report?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Pat, do you know how, like I don't know if preschool and all that is included in our budget at all?
Yeah, that's within the school department's budget.
Yeah.
And adult education, some lease agreements and school transportation, those are all not net school spending eligible, but preschool.
But preschool is, so it's like universal preschool for all now. Did we get more funding for that?
I don't believe so. I think they just built it into their budget.
Regular net
Yeah.
school spending.
Okay, any other questions? On the August revenue versus expenditure? Anything else you want to point out to us on it?
No, and I'll check with school and make sure,
Okay.
but I'm 99% sure, but I've been wrong before.
99.9. Thank you, Pat.
All right, so no, not seeing any other hands on it or anything. We'll consider that one okay. Item 2, and I move on to item 3. Parks Department Park Grant. Are you here for that, Tom?
I am.
Great.
So this is, and I'm joined by Laura Walsh on Zoom. So I'm gonna give you the macro kind of overview of One Park Phase 2, and Laura really is the detail person, but so this is the second phase of that renovation. It's $800,000, 500,000 from the state and the park grant, and 300 from the city through CDBG. And the phase 1 grant encompassed really the monumental change in Plum Park that you see now when you're driving through the tennis courts, and everything else really came out terrific. Yeah. And so this part has improved entrance and parking lot, accessibility improvements, stone dust walking track, softball diamonds, field improvements. Also, the backstops will be replaced, tree plantings and landscapes, site amenities, and climate resilient design. I'm certainly going to leave the climate resilient design to Laura for the explanation on that one. But by and large, it's been a great project, and One Park's really been transformed. So we look forward to continuing with phase 2.
And timeframe?
Laura, who's starting in spring.
Yep, so design will happen over the course of the fall and the winter. And then because it's a PARC grant, construction should start around July 1st. And then we'll be finished by June 1st of 2026.
All right, great.
Yep. And this is for that little section off of Roosevelt with the walking track and the fitness course there, that little kind of other section of Blum Park. So it'll tie the two nicely renovated areas together.
Maria. So we have Counselor Perez arriving. We have Counselor Whitfield here. We have Counselor Fenton and Counselor Edwards and Cliff Bruce. A few counselors on this.
No, he's got his hand up to this. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Great, thank you.
I have a
Counselor
question
Cliff
on
Bruce,
some.
you have a comment you'd like to make?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Ash and Laura for doing this at Blunt Park, the improvements. And Tom, we can talk offline, but I know we talked about doing something in recognition to Rick Marshall. Is this a part of that plan as well?
Yeah, this can be, that does have to go to Park Commission
Yep.
for a vote. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
done, and I don't anticipate any resistance for that, so.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so
That'll be
much.
on the next agenda.
And what was
Thank
that
you
part
so
you were referring to?
There's a portion of the park that the community wants to name after Rick Marshall, who was a kind of a coach and a great player in the community for a long time, so.
And he's really sick right now, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
I just wanted clarification. I know it's that little section that's not paved right now.
Mhm.
Anything with the parking lot though?
There is some parking lot improvements. Laura, any details on?
Yep, the parking lot there, that's now kind of a gravel spot that will all get regraded and paved and add some drainage and things like that. So that whole section will get improved and it'll feel like a formal entrance to the park.
That's good. And, but it's still gonna, cause it's kind of like divided now. It's still gonna stay like that.
Well, during phase 1, we were able to add an accessible connection from the parking lot at the tennis court over to this area. And then now we'll be able to continue that connection so you can get to the walking path and the outdoor fitness station and this area here. So it will make the park feel a little bit less divided by the distance of the two parking lots and the tennis court there.
Nice. It looks beautiful. And what about the clean energy part? How do you?
Oh, the
Are you
climate
looking
resilience.
for-
So
Yeah, climate resilience materials.
yeah, so all of our state and federal grants include the elements of climate resiliency. We're trying to help the city reduce the stress when we have, these flooding events or heavy rains and a lot of the snow and things like that we're getting. So all of the design in our grants, that's kind of built in and assumed, but we like to talk about it. Some of the things we like to do for climate resilient design is to reduce heat island effects. So in this, specifically for this site, there'll be some tree plantings to add additional shade to the area. Also, Blunt Park does have some wetlands in and around these developed areas. So our design is in a way to reduce any impact in that wetland. So as you're driving into Blunt Park, into this section, you won't really see it, but there's a bioretention area. And what that does is that's going to take a lot of the water and the drainage into that area there and let it percolate through groundwater instead of having to be connected to city sewer or anything like that. So it helps reduce the load on the infrastructure of the city and also to do some porous pavement there so we're not impacting the wetland.
Well, I just want to say great job so far.
Thanks.
Little park looks great, the tennis court. I went walking on that path and I was like, did they do the tennis court over?
Yeah, we did.
I didn't remember
We've
that.
actually been able to do a lot in Blunt Park over the last 2 years with
Yeah.
the first PARC grant. We had CPA money there, some CDGB, and then we also had some ARPA funding to redo to start the trails and then to do the basketball court. So getting this section addressed through this round of the PARC grant, it'll really feel like there's been major improvements in Blunt Park, which hadn't seen that for many years. So it'll feel like one complete park now.
All right, great work. Thank you.
Laura,
Thank
is the permanent plaque for the garden, is that almost ready? You know, we put up a
That
temp.
we're still identifying the funding lines for that. But we have the mock-ups ready to go.
Okay.
So
That's all I got, Counselor. Thank you.
All right, thanks, your report, of course. Anybody else on item 3?
Well, in support of item 3, why could I speak, Mr. Chair? I just want to give thanks and kudos to the park department and their staff because they have been working very closely, looking at the parks in the many years. Jefferson is up in Ward 1, looking beautiful. We're still working on Kennefer, but kudos to you guys because you have been on top of the parks for so many years, being here I haven't seen a movement like this one when it comes to the park. So thank you on behalf of the constituents in Ward 1. And I know there's some more work that is needed to be done, but it's moving along faster than so many years. Thank you so much.
our pleasure.
Great. All right, thank you. Moving along to item 4, the Brownfield cleanup grant. Somebody here for that?
Yep, that's me. I'm Wilson Darbin. I'm in economic development under Brian Connors. And today I'm just talking about accepting the $5 million award that we got for the EPA Brownfields programs to clean up the former Chapman Valve site in Indian Orchard. The funding, the majority of it will just cover the soil removal that's required for all the contamination there. It's been vacant for about 30 years, unutilized. So we have soft to firm plans with Wellspring to create a kind of an eco park there and other development goals there. And it's just become like an overgrown site, popular for dumping. So this funding will revitalize it.
And what is that exact location again?
The exact address is ES Pinevale. It's like a little bit off of the main street in Indian Orchard. It's near the Wellsprings greenhouse over there.
Over there, okay. And this brownfield money, this grant will be used for further cleanup or?
Yeah, it'll be for just finalizing assessments, just very little bit of that. And the vast majority of it will go to the actual removal of the soil and the cleanup.
Okay. Something we applied for, or is that something that just kind of happened?
We applied for it last year, around this time, actually. The year before that, we also got an assessment grant for $500,000 from the same program, except that's specifically for assessments. So this year we applied about this time last year, and we'll be executing the funding within a year.
That's great. Any questions?
I missed the whole thing.
Owen, is it Owen?
The one area, just overall.
Number 4, yeah. Any questions for him? Well, thanks for attending the meeting and give us an update. Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, item 5, Springfield City Library donation.
Hi, good afternoon. This is the $300,000 payment
That
to
you,
the
Molly?
city.
Is that Molly?
Yeah.
Yes, can you? Yeah. This is the $300,000 payment to the city to offset the bond for the East Forest Park Branch Library. This is part of the $2 million capital campaign. So with this payment, the foundation has given 1.7 million to the city to offset the bond. And as far as the $2 million capital campaign, we're very, very close. We only have $50,000 left to raise, so.
That's great. That's great.
That's going.
Fantastic.
Great.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. You still have Matt working with you?
Yes, Matt's still here, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Molly. Everybody else set on that? There's another Springfield City Library donation, a little smaller, $100. And then there's some,
Yes, that's a donation in memory of someone that passed away, so that was given to us.
and there's another one after that.
Excuse me. The $89, those were donations to the library. They were cash donations.
Okay. All right, thank you. I guess we'll move on to number 8. Fiscal year 25 Municipal Road Safety Grant. Who's here for that one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can speak to that one.
Great. Appreciate it.
So this is the FY25 Municipal Road Safety Grant. This is a grant that we receive annually. This year, the police department will conduct 6 different types of traffic enforcement mobilizations. The first one being winter impaired driving, which will be in December of 2024. The second one is distracted driving in April 2025. Click it or ticket in May of 2025. Speed enforcement in June of 2025. Speed enforcement again in July of 2025, and summer impaired driving from August to September 2025. These mobilizations make Springfield a safer place to live, work, and visit. And the contract period is from 11/1/2024 to 9/15/2025.
About 60,000, and is it roughly 10,000 on each of those?
Yes, give or take. Yep.
Okay. Great. Questions? Yeah.
So each of those safety features that you were talking about is in every neighborhood of the city?
That I can't answer for you, Counselor Whitfield. That would be a question more so for the police department.
Will they be at the meeting, today? The regular city council?
I believe so, yes.
You're Sequoia, right? Because I don't see your name.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to tell you that I had asked for you to call me to tell you that you're doing a great job, because the last meeting we had about 30 grants to approve.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've never seen before. And like, he is whipping them out. So I wanted you to call me so I could tell you that we appreciate all the funding you're bringing to the city. Plus, I wanted to talk to you about some federal grants that came across my plate, and talk to you more about those to see if we are even ready or qualified for them.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, and I appreciate the compliment as well.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It moves us to number 9, bills of prior year, various departments, odds and ends. It looks like, Lindsay, is that yours?
I can speak to it, Mr. Chair. So this happens every year. We'll have a couple of bills that float in after the budget year is closed out. So we just
You
need
just
to.
identify yourself, Chris.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Chris Frazier, Budget Director.
Thank you.
So we're just seeking your approval to get these paid and taken care of.
Oh, hey, Chris, I see you in person.
Yes, nice to see you in person.
Okay, anything unusual there, or anything that?
No.
Seems.
Nothing earth shattering.
Okay. Thank you, and that brings us to Bill Mahoney. I'm assuming, Bill, you're here. It must be you, number 10.
Hey, so I'm pleased to report that we have a tentative agreement that's been ratified by the Springfield Police Supervisors Association. The association represents all the sergeants, lieutenants, and captains in the Springfield Police Department. There's approximately 71 employees in that group. Our negotiations began on February 5th of 24. We had approximately 5 bargaining sessions and 3 mediation sessions. We had a 3A hearing scheduled for September 9th in Worcester, and we got there and we were able to settle the contract before the start of the hearing. The TA was ratified by the union on September 19th. And I believe in your packet, you can see what we did. The actual tentative agreement is in there. This is a 1-year contract followed by a 3-year contract. And it covers the period of July 1, 2024, all the way through June 30th, 2028. The COLAs are 3.5% each year for 4 years. And there's an increase in the FTO stipend, which is the field training officer stipend, and the performance evaluation program. There were stipends for $1,000 for each of those in the interest arbitration that we had that covered the period of 2020 to 24. We've increased that to $1,500 each. So in addition to the 3.5%, you have the $500 for each of those stipends. That's the cost to the city. We resolved all of the DOJ issues. They're all done now. So I consider any other issues that are from the labor related. Everything that had a collective bargaining component to it, I think we've covered that. It's a good contract for both us and for the association.
And were you able to deal with, things that had been problems in that final session? You were able to wave your magic wand?
We finally got over the last piece of it in the last session, yes.
Do you normally do the patrolman first and then second, or whatever you call it?
Well, I've been doing this for about 38 years now, 36 years. There's no normal. It's just whoever wants to line up first and come in and see us. Sometimes they don't want to come in. In fact, we just started with patrolman last week.
There's always something going on.
We were in negotiations today with another. We were in negotiations every week with somebody, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week.
But from a standpoint of the big ones or the cycle, is this complete a cycle or begin?
We're starting the cycle.
Starting a cycle.
Most of we have 13 units. I think 9 of them expired on June 30th of 24. We have, this will be, if we get this one in, if this is ratified by the council tonight, we'll have 4 of those 9 done. But we're already starting. There's a few that are off cycle and we've already started up with them. So
that's good. Is this budgeted?
No, it wasn't carried over the budget, but there'll be salary savings, but when we do the patrolman's unit, we may have to transfer funds from stabilization in or free cash in to cover those salaries, but we think this can be paid for salary savings. So I don't anticipate something. Again, we're gonna wait and see. We're not gonna do any transfers until we get into the second half of the year to see where our savings are.
I had a question.
All right, yeah.
How many bargaining sessions did you say there were for this?
there were 5 sessions. We started in February of 24, and then we had 3 quasi mediation sessions with the Joint Labor Management Committee out of Boston.
So was there a real sticking point to this? Or is that usual, have that many?
No, that's about right. I mean, the last round, we went through interest arbitration, and that was a much longer process, and it took us several years to get through. This time we got through very quickly.
To know.
Okay, any questions for Bill Mahoney about that? Okay, unless I'm missing something, I think that's the end of our agenda.
Councilor Allen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, questions, come in.
Go ahead, Victor.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. I just want to say, can you, I don't know who said about these savings. Can you elaborate a little bit more? I know you say that we don't know where they're coming from, but what can you elaborate now on that?
I don't think you know what salary savings are.
Oh, salary savings, that means positions that are funded and not filled,
No, I know what they
or
are.
people have left, et cetera, and we sweep those accounts, et cetera. So we wouldn't ask for any new monies until we did an analysis of any salary savings we had to use for this.
Does that mean,
But-
right? Does that mean that they're going to be that doesn't mean they're going to be frozen, are they?
No, they're not gonna be frozen, no. We'll do an analysis after the first 6 months to see if we have savings. We may, and I know if they're able to settle the patrolmen's this year, that we will have to come to the council for more funding. But until such time, until we do the analysis and we get farther into the year, I wouldn't ask for any money right now.
Okay, so I do believe that affects the free cash at the end, correct?
Excuse me?
I do believe, doesn't that affect the free cash?
It could,
Oh, yeah.
we could, it's not gonna affect free cash right now, but we could
Next
ask
year.
for it next year. We could be asking for money from free cash, yes.
Right, okay, all right, thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. Thanks, Victor. Yeah, Tracy.
Something about the name tags. The employer reserves the right to assign name tags, so they don't have to.
We are assigning name tags.
We are assigning name tags.
So that is a DOJ requirement. We have that in the patrol officer's contract already.
Okay.
And the last time, just for quick context, when we went to interest arbitration last time, you were only allowed to bring 5 issues. So the management team, we could only bring 5. We had 9 or 10 that we needed to bring, but we could only bring 5 DOJ issues. So what we've done in this negotiations, we've wrapped up the rest of them. Name tags was one of them. So we'll be getting that on everybody's uniform.
That's great. Thank you.
So does that mean all officers will have name tags?
Yeah, anyone in uniform will be wearing a name tag. Anybody that's not in uniform, that'd be the discretion of the superintendent. I would imagine that, I don't want to speak for him, what he would be doing with that. But everybody in uniform will eventually have a name tag on their uniform.
Yeah,
Right
'cause like
now-
undercovers can't.
Yeah, the other, that won't work too well. That's who you want.
Yeah, like, Target, that will be the. I know.
Is it gonna include their rank?
Well, the way it'll be worded, right now, they have a name tag that just says, like LP number 7 or CAPT number 9. And this will now be Captain R. Smith or Captain R. Jones or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a very long-standing issue going back the 80s.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, anybody else? Any other comments? Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it.
Counselor Allen? Counselor, it's Chris Signoli.
Hi, Fred.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know there was an item that wasn't on the agenda that was supposed to be. It is on the council agenda. We are doing the land takings and easements tonight for the X project. That is going to be in front of the council tonight as well. It should have been on this agenda. Just wanted to let you know that it is coming in front of the council tonight. We have a total of $569,900 worth of payments that we're going to be making on the project. The project is out to bid, and bids are supposed to be opened by the state tomorrow. So I just wanted to bring that up in front of the subcommittee today.
Okay, appreciate it. Can you make some comment on the project itself? How many land takings are there? How many?
We have 4 partial land takings, and they are all associated with the area where the CVS is, TD Bank, that area. We have 5 permanent easements for sign placement, and then we have 128 temporary construction easements. That's basically along the entire project. When we do sidewalks, we're required by law to get an easement on the abutting property. And that is worth $464,000. So basically all Sumner Avenue, Belmont, Dickinson, Oakland, Ormond, Lenox, Cliffwood, Burlington, and a couple of properties on Commonwealth. They're all going to be impacted when when the state starts to build sidewalks. So all of those properties will require easements, construction easements, temporary construction easements. And within the packet that was provided to the council tonight, we have it listed by each individual property, the payment that is going to each individual property, property owners that are along the entire corridor and that are going to be impacted by the project.
Yeah, of course.
Chris, when you say impacted, could you elaborate about the impact? Because I received numerous calls about this project.
Yep. The impact for 99% of these is basically going to be in front of their property. They're going to be getting a new sidewalk and or driveway ramp. The back of the sidewalk abuts is basically the property line. So in order to do that sidewalk work, we have to get a minimum of a 5-foot easement onto the property for construction to occur. So 99% of the impacts that we're dealing with are going to be because of the construction of sidewalks that are abutting a property, and we're required to get the 5-foot easement there. Basically, from a construction standpoint, other than the sidewalks itself, on these 128 locations, there's going to be no construction itself on the properties. It's just the abutting sidewalks that we're required to get easements on.
So some of those businesses, are they gonna be impacted when it comes to the parking?
No, because basically in most of the area, there's minimal on-street parking, especially really the only place that there's some on-street parking is on Dickinson. And on Dickinson, we're basically talking about sidewalk work. We're doing some on Dickinson and Belmont, minimal curb work. So just having to coordinate with the businesses to make sure we can keep their doors open with Mass DOT and the contractor during construction. So once I know who the contractor is, we can get them on board and start to go through the requirements that we're going to have about, maintaining access and things like that for these businesses. Minimal parking impacts as part of the construction. The construction is going to be, obviously it's been difficult out there now with the work that's being done by the gas company. The actual true construction is scheduled to start next spring.
Thank you, because I know that was the major concern, the parking, because of the construction that already exists.
Yeah.
And it's impacting the businesses. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris, what is expected to be the duration?
This is going to be at least two full construction seasons once it starts in the spring. So we will be working through calendar year 25 and calendar year 26.
Nightmare.
You're gonna have a lot of very unhappy people. They're unhappy now going outside.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Chris, what's the largest parcel that you're taking?
2,600 square feet, which is in the parking lot area where CVS and on Belmont Avenue side, CVS and TD Bank are located. There's 4 different parcels that make up that I'm going to use the word complex there. And it's 2,600 square feet. Another one is 1,200, and then 900, and then 41, which is a little impact on the corner. But it is all one property owner. And we have been dealing with we've been going back and forth with their attorney, et cetera, on this as well.
And they're happy now, or?
I'll use the word content.
Are you taking some of their parking lots?
Yeah, they're losing a handful of parking spaces, but we're also doing a reconfiguration, so they're gaining some back as well. And just for everybody's purposes, just for background knowledge, all of the notices that go out to the property owners have to go out registered and have to go out a minimum of 30 days prior to the meeting. Most, if not all of these went out in August. We didn't have enough time to get them on the September meeting. So most people have had these for over 6 weeks. And we've dealt with, a couple, 3 business owners who have asked questions more about the timing, because these easements, when we get them now, Mass DOT requires that we get the easement for 6 years. It basically becomes extinguished once the work is complete, but they get nervous when they see that amount of time, thinking that that's going to be the impact of their property. That's basically put in place in case the project, for whatever reason, gets delayed throughout the years, which really isn't an issue now. And I think they only do it for 3 years and 6 years now. It used to be 2 and 5, so they're doing 3 and 6. So we do that for the 6-year period just to make sure if there's any delay in the project that we're covered to be able to get the work done and not have to go back.
So are all these easements and whatever you gotta do, are they all commercial or are some personal residential?
It's a mix because up and down Sumner Avenue, our project starts on Sumner Avenue basically at the beginning of the park, or the park entrance, excuse me, and goes down to just past Ormond Street, which is the backside of the CVS there. So it's a mix on, and also on the side street. I'd say it's mostly commercial. However, there is a number of residences as well.
And how do they, I mean, are they content or?
Yeah, because they're all getting
I'm public speak outs today. I wanna just,
there might be a couple.
It's your fault.
But the residents, they're all getting, they're getting brand new sidewalks, driveway ramps. Nothing's changing in front of them. So it's not like we're changing the layout or changing their driveway or moving it or anything. It's just reconstructing it, taking the existing sidewalk out and putting a new one in for them, basically for them and most of the businesses as well.
Well, that's gonna look good. Because I tell you, it looks good over in my area in East Springfield, Liberty Heights. I love the roundabout. It has made a great difference with the traffic. It's so seamless, but I wanna know when it's gonna be done by Big Y and Page Boulevard and all that.
Oh, I'm not happy with that one. That's a Mass DOT project that they really seem to be dragging their feet on.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
On this project. And because both of those started at the same time last year. And the roundabout is basically complete. And the other one's probably just about half done at this point.
I know, it looks great with the signage and the 2 lanes and everything. I love it, but that other one.
I was skeptical. Because of all the truck traffic, but it seems to be working really good.
Yes, it is. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, is there anything, any stats or general information about the trees? Wasn't the trees were one of the stumbling blocks?
Yeah, when we had the public hearing way back, I want to say, I'm talking in general terms now, we probably had 140 or 150 trees that were going to be removed total. Now it's down to, I want to say 40, maybe 50, and they are all being replaced because we ended up basically doing a redesign of the project to try and keep as many of the trees along the corridor as possible. So with working with Alex, we identified a lot of there's some bad trees out there anyways. So we identified those, and those are going to be removed and replaced. And there's a handful of others that are being removed and replaced, but nowhere near what it was when we were looking at it originally on the original design, because MassDOT wanted us to widen the roadway, which was going to basically impact every tree along the corridor. So we've really saved a lot of the trees there on the project.
Good. We have a public speak out tonight, and a lot of the comments at public speak out tonight are going to be about trees, the solar farm. Trees will be something we'll all hear about tonight.
Yep.
Victor got his hand.
Okay, Victor. Yeah, Victor, what do you got that?
Thank you, Tim. Chris, good to see you. Chris, can you tell me where we are talking with the X project with regards to 2 properties, one Forest Park and Mojitos? I have heard concerns from both of them. Can you tell me what's going to happen? Well, let's start with Forest Park Liquors. Are they only going to keep one entrance?
There's an entrance that's farther down towards Pomona Street, which will stay there. And then directly in front of Forest Park Liquors, where Ormond Street is, that's going to be a signalized intersection, and they're going to have a new main driveway right there. So instead of having 2 little driveways, they're going to keep one little driveway, and there's going to be a main entrance at that location as well. They also have an entrance off of Pomona Street that's not being touched as part of the project. So that parcel there where Forest Park Liquors and Benson's Bagels are is basically just going to have a bigger entrance that's going to be controlled by a traffic signal and pedestrian phases for that whole area.
Right, so they're gonna have a total of three entry exit points, if I understood.
Yeah, they'll
correctly?
have the same amount they have now, but the issue that I know I have now getting out of there is just, you don't have any, there's just too much traffic to get in and out of there safely. So with the new traffic signal, you'll be able to get out of that parking lot a lot easier.
Good. Now, Chris, I heard some concern specifically about Mojitos that apparently they're gonna be losing a lot of parking spaces. Can you comment on that?
I want to make sure that's the one at the corner of Burlington.
Yeah, where the Boricino used to be, where
Yeah.
Old Sicily.
They aren't
typical
losing
Sicily-
any parking spaces. If they're losing, I don't think they're losing any parking spaces. I'll double check that, but I don't think they're losing any there. Originally, we were looking at a different layout and they were going to lose a couple spaces, but right now I don't think they're losing any.
Okay, could you double check on that, because I did.
Yeah, I'll double check on
did
it.
reach out to me.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, if there's a lot of parking spaces, that might hinder their business, and I think that's a legitimate. Now, completely unrelated, I'm going to talk to you offline later on. I have too many light poles out on Sumner Avenue, Chris. I counted at least 6 last night. But I will talk to you offline on that when I see you tonight.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank
Tim.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Anybody else?
Well, I think that's an awful lot to absorb without having a specific committee meeting on it. Because I live in that neighborhood and it is not 100% accepted.
So when this comes up in,
I think it's a lot. Did you look at how many people are affected?
177.
so we can make a motion for committee and,
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because usually when we have eminent domain, it comes to us first and then it goes to the floor. And I think with all this, so many business and people and churches and everything and parks and trees, we should have had more notice than having to automatically just vote on it tonight.
no, it came up quick tonight for sure. It's been going on for years, but came up quick tonight.
From the beginning, it's been controversial.
No doubt.
And they did not give up those trees easily.
So could I ask a question, Mr. President? So Chris, how long has this project has been in discussion with the city council members?
12 years.
Yeah.
10 years, excuse me, started in 2014.
Oh.
So there's a lot of stuff to absorb. For you, who've been involved in it all along, it's second nature, I guess, and you want to get it to the finish line. To us, it's a lot of stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised this goes in the committee tonight or is an attempt.
Well, if it goes to committee, the project stops.
Well, explain that, please.
The bids are opening
Why
tomorrow.
is it coming to us now? You have to vote on it now or it dies. I don't like that.
I don't have a choice in that. We have to follow the rules put into us by the state. And they tell us when we can go for easements and land takings. And the bid is opening tomorrow. And if it's not approved, they can't open the bids.
Well, you should have gotten to us sooner.
So what if the bid were put off for 2 weeks or something? I mean, put yourself in our spot where we just, we find out about it. It wasn't on the agenda and you come in, and it's not about you. It's just like there's a lot of information to absorb. It wasn't on the agenda. We just put it on the agenda or you just told us about it. It's kind of unreasonable to have this much information come to us at one point and have to vote on it tonight. We vote on $100 donations to the library. Those are, some of the things are pretty simple things. This one is a big one. And I don't know what our options are in terms of timing. And it went to committee and we had these neighbors and businesses have a chance to come to a meeting and express their opinions and hear the thing. I'm sure you've probably done that 5 times, of course, but I've not been in one of those things. I remember there was a big meeting a few years ago, but it's news to me, not the project, but the details of the people.
Chris, when did you find out? And when did you find out and could you have gotten us information sooner?
we get notified by Mass DOT of the bid date, and when the bid date reaches a certain point, we then get notified that we have to start the review appraisal, and title search process, which went on through the whole summer. That went on through the whole summer. It was completed in middle of August, and we started sending out notifications to the residents in between the end of August, or probably middle of August to the first week or so of September, because they have to all go out 30 days, minimum of 30 days prior to the vote, and we didn't have enough time to get it on the September agenda. So when all those go out, we have to send them out registered mail to all the impacted properties, which was done, as I said, the first week of September and throughout August to all the residents. And I received the final list probably about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And when I was in front of the council a couple weeks ago for the traffic control agreement, I talked a little bit about this process that I'd be coming in front of you in October for the land takings. So we can't do it until Mass DOT gives us the okay to move forward with it, which they did in early summer, and then we went through the appraisal process through the law.
I think that this happens a lot in the city. You guys have a process and then bring it to us last minute, and then so we're kind of thrown off. And I think like when the notices were going out, at minimum, when the notices were going out to the owners of the properties, we could have got notices too. And we could have asked more questions at that time. What is this? What does this mean? What's the timing? What's the time frame? And then we wouldn't be at this point right now where we don't have a lot of information except for people like complaining to counselors. And then, you know, they're our residents. They vote us in and out, you know, so we have an obligation to them. So I think like, I mean, this is city overall. If things are coming up that you think may be controversial, to get in front of us ahead of time would be, I know it's too late for this one. I'm not going to vote this down because it has been 12 years. And since I've been on 6 years, I probably heard it about 3 or 4 times. And we've been talking about it. I remember when it was a big deal with the trees and just cutting them back by like 100 trees is a big deal. The improvements that it's gonna make to the sidewalks and the driveways are big deals. But I just think if we think about the process and our knowledge and what we know and what we don't know, just giving us a heads up earlier will also be helpful.
Yes, another question.
So, yeah, Maria has another question.
So Chris, what is the cost of this development? The overall cost?
The construction cost is about 17 million for the project. The overall project cost is about 23, 24, because as part of the project, there's water and sewer work that's going on. And then all Mass DOT costs are included in the 2022, I think it's 22, 24 million on the project. So it's as far as the transportation improvement plan for the Pioneer Valley, it's a major significant project. You know, probably the biggest one that's going, ours right now, as well as Memorial Avenue in West Springfield are the 2 big projects that are going on now in the region. So we're 16, I think it's 16.8 million. I may be off on that number a little bit, but it's about 16.8 million in construction cost.
And how much of that is city budget money?
None. We have to pay for all of the design work, which we did. We paid for it with our Chapter 90 money. And there is, we have a few $100,000 in city expense in there, but that's going to be all Chapter 90 money as well. The items that we've added that Mass DOT doesn't want to pay for as part of the construction that we've added into the project that we're paying for as part of the project, but it's all Chapter 90 money.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking, you know, if there's some consideration that could be given to not put us under an ultimatum for tonight. I think you said before that it would be a 25 and 26 construction season. I don't know when you're going to start, maybe in the spring or something. It seems like there's some time in there where we're not constructing, but we're this, you know, a 2-week delay or something wouldn't kill it. You would consider that or tell us what we need.
The bids are scheduled to be open tomorrow.
Mr. Chair, I have a question if I may.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Thank you, Tim. Chris, I have to say that I know we have talked about this issue before, and this has been back and forth for quite a few years, at least since I've been in the council. And I think the project in and of itself, it's a must because it's a safety issue, and I get it. I also very sympathetic with the only with the residents, but also with the business owners. And so I hear that you say that if we send this to committee, the project stops. If the project stops, I got two questions for you. One, when can we move forward with the project? And two, do we lose the funding for this project?
If the project stops, it gets turned back over to Mass DOT. They control 100% of the process. It means they can't open the bids tomorrow. It's too late to do an addendum.
Do you know when
at that point, then they have to make a decision whether it becomes canceled and they end up having to rebid it.
And can we lose the funding? Are we going to lose the funding if we kick it down the road for a week or so?
That ends up at Mass DOT. We don't make that. I can't make that decision at all. It becomes a financial consideration and cash flow from money from the federal government to the state for the project. So it all gets thrown into Mass DOT's hands. We don't have any input on that whatsoever.
So it has been 12 years. I'm just thinking, and to be honest with you, I hear what you're saying, Chris, but I have to agree with my colleagues. I feel uncomfortable being between a rock and a hard place, and that's how I feel right now. And because, we don't want to lose the money, we need the funding, we need the project, but I also think that we need to be sympathetic to these people, meaning the business owners and the residents. I don't know. I want to hear more. I am a little ambivalent on this. I'm not saying that it's you, but I think we need to do better as a city, Chris. I don't like ultimatums. I don't work well with ultimatums because we have to consider our residents. And so this is going to be a toughie tonight, Chris.
So
what if there were?
These are all state rules and regulations that I have to follow on the timeline. So
it's the first time
a lot of flexibility.
Everything could die. So, but I look forward to having more robust.
Let's let Victor finish, and Tracy and Maria.
Tim, like I was saying before, thank you for your help, Chris. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, Chris, is it fair to say that if it's canceled, the state might not even consider putting it back on the table because of the cancellation?
Yeah, the problem we're going to run into, it was bid. They work on federal fiscal year. So it was bid in fiscal year 24, and that's where the money is. And if it's not then they're going to have to jump through all sorts of financial hoops to figure out how that's going to get taken care of on their side on it. And we end up not being part of that discussion. We just get notified of what the process is and how it's going to get impacted. So when they put it out to bid, it went out, I think the last, probably like the 20th or so of August with an October 8th bid opening. So we would then have to go back to Mass DOT and figure out what's going to happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I know we got another meeting in like 7 minutes, but I think we've been sympathetic for 12 years.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, it is, because I remember when you had a problem with it before, and we listened to the community at that time.
And the easements 12 years ago.
And they went back, it was the trees, I remember the tree conversation, and they went back and they discussed it, and they had community meetings. I remember this. And they went back and they stopped the amount of trees that were gonna be taken. They're gonna replace the 40 that is being taken. We're gonna have process improvement. It would be irresponsible of us city councilors to say we're not gonna approve this and lose 17 million or whatever that amount is that's coming from, or 24 million that's coming from the state, from the federal government. We're gonna turn back money to the federal government. How willing are they gonna be to give Springfield money in the future? They are not. That it's been 12 years since I've been on the city council. 6 years we have talked about this project a few times in Forest Park. It's also our responsibility to have community meetings. We could have had community meetings with the community, get real thorough and real good explanations, invited Chris in, and we could have done that too. We could have also asked for updates on this project, where we're at, what we're doing. Like, some of this is our responsibility too, because we've known about this. I've heard this project at least 4 times since I've been on the city council. But to give back $24 million, that's irresponsible of a city council. I'm just throwing it out there. However you're gonna vote, you vote your conscience, I'm gonna vote mine. I would never give back $17 to $24 million to the federal government and then expect them to keep funding the city of Springfield.
So,
That's my final comment, Counselor. Thank you.
thank you, Counselor. So Chris, if this wasn't even on our agenda, I'm not sure how it didn't make our agenda if it's this big of a deal.
It's not on finance.
Obviously a big,
It's on our city council agenda.
so it's, so
That's not Chris.
if you would just consider, it's kind of a bind to put us in, tonight, saying that, you know, the bids start tomorrow and that's the end. Could the bids be delayed a week? Could you talk to someone from the state, you know, between now and 7 o'clock, have a conversation with them? Could you talk to the mayor? Whatever. I don't think it's reasonable to put us in this spot after a 12-year project. You're right. We know about the project. We didn't know it was coming up tonight. And you've kind of presented it to us in a way that kind of an ultimatum. And I don't think you want to do that, and we certainly don't want to hear it that way, but there's still some time to maybe have some conversations or understand what a middle ground might be where we still give it the process to the neighbors and allow a couple more weeks on. I don't think people are looking to vote this down. It's just a matter of having a good conversation on it.
The city council agenda did not come out today. The city council agenda did not come out today. We all had enough time to look at the city council agenda for ourselves. I'm just saying, Counselor, because you cut me off when I wasn't done, but we did not just get this agenda today. So if it's a surprise, which it is to me also, then we didn't look at the agenda ahead of time also, where we could have asked these questions ahead of time also. So the ownership cannot just be on one person through this process.
And for the purpose of information, if the federal government opens a bid, they got the exact day and time, and if it closes, you cannot request time on it. It's the day it opened, the time it closed, and then it's closed. And the concern that I have is that once it's closed and we do not approve this $24 million, we don't even have the security ever coming back and what years are coming back. So that's my major concern about the federal bids. It's not any bids, I would say. It opens and closes. So I will be voting in favor. It's $24 million that is coming to the community. There were some concerns, and I hear there should have been more meetings. I don't know if this went into the maintenance and development, where did it went at the time, and it's now presented for tonight's meeting. But those are the concerns, lesson learned for other developments like this one that's coming into the city. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I think we get probably enough time. We have another 5:30 meeting. Thank you, Chris. We'll talking to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. I'll be there this evening.
Thanks, everybody.